Hello everybody and welcome to Profit Mission Control. This is Matt, and this week I want to bring to you our profit recap for the week of March 13th, 2017. This has been a while since I've published I published a video, and I decided this weekend definitely I need to put something out there to recap the profits from last week. It's probably been 3 to 4 weeks since I last published a video, and although I prepared materials for the last 2 weeks to present, but I never actually got a chance to doing the video. So here I am today trying to get some of the information out. So this week has been actually a pretty good week, and we'll go over some of the profit launches, some of the launches that we had to abort, and looking at also some of the stocks that are currently in flight and the ones that we are waiting to launch. I might be able to squeeze in another video later today if I have time, going over the preparation for the launch list for Monday, March 20th, 2017. I've always wanted to walk you through that process a little bit, but I just never got a chance to do it. So maybe today I'll get the chance to do that. So before I start, just a quick reminder about the disclaimer. The material that I present here is only for informational and educational purposes. No, I'm not a financial advisor. If you find some of this information interesting to you, then consult with your own financial advisor or investment advisor to get their professional opinion. So this is only, I'm sharing what I prepare every day, what some of the things that I look into and trade, but that doesn't mean at all that you take that information and run with it. You have to really consult with somebody who's a professional financial advisor. So with that said, let's move on to the results. I published these results on the website, www.profitmissioncontrol.com. I suggest you go and visit there if you have a chance. Look at our past launch lists and some other performance. For this week that started last Monday, the 13th of March, we had a total of 16 launches, which 12 of them were profitable, and 4 of them we had to abort because they did not meet our profit criteria and they hit the abort prices. And like I always advocate, if a stock hits the abort price, then I'm out. There's no question about it. Occasionally it may touch the abort price and instantaneously back up where I don't have even a chance to potentially exit. I don't set automatic stop loss limits. It's a mental stop. So if it does hit the price, then I exit, but that takes a little bit of reaction time. And like I said, in some cases it might actually, stock might pierce a little bit underneath the abort price or touch it and then rebound, and by the time I start to take action, I'm still in it. So that has happened a few times, but just want to let you know, if it does hit the abort price and I have the time to basically exit, I will exit. So on the winners, we had the highest profit was 23% on CERU, and the lowest profit was a couple times I traded NDLS, Noodles and Company. The lowest time it was 2% profit. And then the worst loser was MRNS, lost 5% there. And we'll go over some of these trades and walk you through them a little bit to talk about the kind of the decision-making process of exiting and entering. So overall, a good week. Profit-taking accuracy is creeping back up to the level that used to be like earlier the year, about 75%, and the average profit is hovering around 5%, and that includes obviously the average winners and the average losers. So taking everything into consideration, whatever capital you put in for this week, you would have made about 5% roughly return on that. So let's talk about CERU. CERU was obviously a hot stock over the last couple of weeks. It did take a pause and then started to resume some of its trading patterns. I had it on the launch list on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And we traded it once, I believe, and then the interesting part is when I put it on the 14th, I had it set up such that it breaks the prior resistance of $1. I think the original call that I published on the 14th was this box here, this profit box here, which would be a launch above 169, and then with the profit to 193. Let me double check here quickly just to confirm. If you don't mind, just give me a second here. And exit. Let's see. Yeah, so that one was originally it was at $1.70, exiting at $1.92. Now, but what happened, because that was the breakout point for that stock based on the chart. But what actually happened is, I'm going to go to 5-minute chart and walk back to that date over here. So we had a breakout prior to market. So during after hours and pre-market, the stock actually gapped up and it broke through that prior resistance level that I wanted to take actually the trade on. So what I did is I reset my profit taking criteria, because pre-market it looked like it was very strong and it was curling up a little bit and starting to launch probably as at the open. So I put a entry at above $2 with a probably 10% win target and a loss at the low of pre-market lows. So you know, it would be like a 10-cent potential winner, maybe, and then a 5% or 5 to 7 cents loser if I had to abort. So it looked pretty good actually at market open. It ripped higher and continued to go higher. It touched this high level on the 5-minute chart. Didn't take profit. It looked like it was probably going to go further. And then on this candle, it hit actually this prior. It broke its prior high level, but then it started coming down. As it was coming down, I took profit at $2.46, somewhere over here. Yeah. So the total profit of 23%. Now, if you followed that stock, you know that it paused a little bit and then eventually ripped even higher. So it's trading around the $3 mark, $3.50 right now. And I think if it breaks this 358, it still has a lot of room to go further. Let me look at the daily chart again. So that's something to keep on your radar for the next few weeks, maybe next few days, because it will actually, I believe it will continue to go higher. It has room to grow to at least the maybe $4 level. It cleared all its moving average resistances, and there's obviously huge volume, buying volume the last few sessions. So keep an eye on that one. Next one is AGRX, and AGRX was a solid trade, picture perfect trade. Again, I have to go to the 5-minute chart to see the action on that one. That one was on our list for the 17th, really on Friday. And look what it did. It was obviously our entry point was this prior high from the session before on the 16th, above all its moving averages. And the plan was to enter at 289 and exit at 307. And that's exactly what it did on Friday. With fairly large volume, it ripped through and pushed up, and I ended up taking profit again at 323. So the first high and then the second candle, it broke that prior resistance, and then it started coming down, and that's when I bailed out. So that was a solid 11% win on that one. Next one was ARCO. Again, that one was something that was on our launch list since the March the 6th. However, it triggered on the 15th. So this is the day it triggered here. Again, I'm looking at the 5-minute chart. The plan again was to enter above this level here, which was go back to 1-day chart just to show you a little bit more. Yeah, so it was this prior level of resistance. It tried to break it here, tried to break it there, and then eventually I said, okay, I'm going to put an an alert. If it breaks this, then that will be the launch criteria. And look what it did. It broke through that and ripped even higher and higher and higher. Now on the 5-minute chart, I was a little bit less confident about its ability to continue to go higher. So I ended up just taking the profit around 725 area. I think around this area here. I think, yeah, basically I held it through this part, and then when it dipped below this high, I said I'm gonna attempt to take the profit if it does reach that high again, and that's where I took the profit for this one. But very solid trade, and it continued to go even higher, and I think it might still have some potential to go further higher. ALIM was a little bit less of a stellar. The fact that I had to exit earlier than potentially I could have, but still traded the plan exactly. So this one was on our launch list on the 13th of March, and at $1.46 with a profit target at $1.53. So that will be the launch here and a profit there. And it was trading pre-market relatively. It broke through the whole profit window pre-market, and I watched it as the market opened. And usually when it drops or it's gapping up, I'll wait to see if it can enter again the launch target within the same day. So if it is still relatively active and within the same day it hits that target price, so that's where I entered here, continue to ride it. The goal was to exit at again 153, which it actually eventually achieved towards the end of the day, and that's where I took profit. So another solid win there. INAP, that one was on the list on the 13th as well, and it did trigger on the 13th, but it took longer to achieve our profit target. So again, prior resistance, that was the entry point. It broke through it, gave me a reason to sell it, continued to trade sideways, and then after 4 sessions it hit the profit target and exited at $3.50. Nice clean trade, no reason to sell it, and it never actually came into the red zone or even touched obviously the abort price. So very good trade on that one. IMDZ, that went on our launch list on the 17th, again on Friday, which seemed to be a crazy day on Friday, and the profit entry or the entry for this trade was at $6.70, and that was from a prior resistance way back here. Look at the daily chart. Again, breaking this this basically curling and U-shaped or cup shape. So obviously there's a breakout above this level here. That would be a good entry to test this high, and that's exactly what it did. It was coming also on the 200-day moving average, which was the profit target zone. So I expected it to have resistance, some resistance there. In fact, it went and ripped through it, but the trade itself started at $6.71 and rode it all the way to $7.05. And again, all of that happened within the first, entry in the first 10 minutes of the day, and then exited around here halfway through the day. So very, very solid pick as well. GSIT. That one was on our list for March the 15th, and it did launch on March the 15th. And you're gonna keep seeing that pattern. Again, trying to break the prior high of this level here, and we had it. Put it on the launch list on the 15th, based on the performance on the 14th, where it did break this prior resistance. So the next logical resistance would have been way back here, long time ago, in this gap area. So this is one thing that you guys should note, that when a stock has a large gap to fill, it usually does that fairly consistently with the right momentum. So there's a huge gap here, and the entry and exit were basically the limits of that gap to fill. So back up here to what the trade itself looked like. It launched at $8.05. And let me go to the 5-minute chart and just show you how powerful that move was. So $8.05, never looked back, kept going all the way to the profit target at $8.50. And that's where I exited. And look what it did further beyond that. It continued to go and it hit $9.60. So lost almost a potential for another full dollar of profit. But you never know. So the main thing is to trade your plan. A lot of times I think because there are so many stocks that I was watching, in this particular case, I just took my profit and left and went away. But if I was only focusing on 1 or 2 stocks, I would probably have given this a little bit more thought and held longer. But in this case, I just took the profit and went away. The next one is Noodles and Company, NDLS. So that one I traded twice this week, and it went on 2 different launch lists. One on the 15th and then later on the 17th. And you can see this is the 15th trade. It was it went on the 15th, but then it actually triggered on the 16th. So the entry was above prior resistance level here, and with a goal to exit at $4.51. So this happens to be a nickel spreader stock, and so although I chose like $4.31 and $4.52, so the nearest entry and exit would have been at $4.30, and the exit would be at $4.50 because it only moves in 5-cent increments. And it traded beautifully that day again. It triggered, dipped a little bit, but then continued to go. And then I took the profit at $4.55, actually the high of the day. And then there's a second opportunity on the 17th that actually, so it went on the list on the 17th and it triggered and launched on the 17th. I decided to take profit because it was starting to, I don't like the nickel spreaders, number one. Number two, I've watched this stock before and I had it on my launch list before. And it's really not a clean stock to trade. There's a lot of people kind of shorting the stock, and so when I had the second time around, I decided to say, okay, if it stalled, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to take the profit on this one and close it for the week. So only like a 2% winner on the second trade, from $4.55 to $4.65. So yeah, when it touched this area several times, I decided to exit. So it was still a good nice mover, but it's not a stock that will just rip higher. As just to let you know, that does have a large short float, which means that if it continues to push, especially above the $5 target, which I in the past had it on one of my launch lists above $5. I think if it breaks $5, which would be around somewhere on this area here, this prior resistance, I guess, so $5.13, it will probably have a lot of room to go. But if you look at how it trades on a daily basis, the increments are fairly small, and it has to fight with its 200-day moving average coming down, which, you know, over the next 2 sessions is going to come in slower and lower and lower. So nothing exciting, I guess, until it breaks through the 200-day moving average. I think volume is coming in, buying volume is coming in, and this might be a good long-term potential to keep an eye on. Not as exciting as others, but still potential solid winner. IMGN. That one, let's see. So that one was on the, we've traded this in the past before, and it continues to move higher. It's probably getting more and more choppier. But again, the entrance it went on the list for the 13th of March. Sorry, on the 10th of March. Yeah, so why is this showing? Yeah, it's on the 10th. So the plan was to, if it breaks this prior resistance here, it had room to go to way at least to the area before it starts to test this gap, and that's a fairly good move. Still, it's a move from $3.88 to $4.26. So that was a good plan to trade it for a 10% potential profit. Now what it did is it did break it, and it tried twice to break the $4.05, but for whatever reason it pulled back, and so that's why on the second day, let's see, so it launched on the 13th and hit this high of the day, kept holding it, and then the second day it launched and hit the high of the day and wasn't able to break it, so I exited with a profit. Not my target profit, but still with some level of profit, which was 4% at 405. So exit at $4.05. Since then, it's pulled back. Nothing too worrisome. I think it will still have quite a potential to move, especially if it breaks this $4.26, because again, if you go back, that's where the gap is. So if it breaks that level, it has room. It has room all the way through $4.75. So that's a nice 50 cents potential move. What usually happens though, if it breaks the gap, it either fills that gap immediately or it starts to churn. So there's no guarantee that obviously is going to fill that 50-cent gap, but depends on really what the volume is and what the conditions are that day. But the day it breaks this level, keep an eye on it and see if there's a lot of volume coming in. Most likely it will try to push to get to fill that 50 cent. Otherwise it will probably just churn in this area and maybe dip a little bit again, and then prepare for a later date to break that if the conditions and the news and the company provide some kind of positive or bullish information. And then the last of the winners, the second to last, is Twinkies. And that one was kind of boring to watch because it launched the week prior, and and it was the only one in flight. And again, it's a nickel spreader, and my goal was for it to reach the $3.10. But in reality, it was very, very choppy. Maybe a 15-minute chart would show it better. It kept going up and down in this profit zone. I wanted it to push 310. I never was able to it. I held it the longest, probably 5 sessions, and decided to exit on the March the 15th, which was this day here, towards the, I don't know if I catch the high of the day. I recall on this one, I exited at 297. Yeah, I think it tried once or twice to hit $3. It couldn't, and then on this pullback here at 297, I took profit, which was sufficient, but nothing like I wanted to. Didn't hit the 310, but still, it was a profit instead of a loser, because it did actually, especially that prior to the day, actually, yeah, it was very close to the board price, although I held to it. And I think I mentioned that on StockTwits, that it briefly touched. I don't think it ever touched the board, but it was getting very close, and then just held on to it to $3, to a little bit below $3. We talked about the noodles one, so the last one is PFIE, and that one was a very small winner, and it happened very quickly. So on the 14th, so this went on the list on the 13th. It never triggered until the 14th. No, I take that back. It was on the 13th, and yeah, on the 13th. So something is wrong with that one. I got it on my list on the 13th. It's for $1.65 through $1.79. It did break the $1.65. I think I typed that wrong. It's actually the 14th. To go back and look at the actual trade. But nevertheless, so this one was stock that quickly spiked to $1.70, and I just took profit at that point. I don't think I had any strong conviction. The volume was kind of weak, but it just spiked quickly, and I entered and exit right away. nothing too exciting about this one. I think it eventually will break through that level and move higher. It did find support at the 200, so let me go on the daily chart, see where we are. Yeah, it's still above all its daily averages, so I think it has potential still. And look at this huge volume day. That's kind of why I put it on the launch list, because of this day. It just didn't perform well and took out profit the day it launched for a 5-cent gain. All right, so next would be the losers. So GNCA is the first loser, and that one was a loss of about 3%. And on the daily chart here, the plan was to enter when it breaks this prior resistance with profit potential through this level here. So basically breaking this prior resistance, it was in this kind of a gap area, and they said, okay, if it tries to challenge its prior high, that would be our profit window. And it wasn't as a clean trade. And if I go to 5-minute chart, I did enter it when it broke this level. That would have been on the 13th, and try to break the prior resistance, and should have taken profit, but let's see, it was right here. Yeah, so it kept churning for over the 13th, and I exit on the 13th as well. I think what happened is, yeah, that one, I think I entered right here and then had to exit when it reached the 592 level. Oh, there it is. I think, yeah, that actually this box is wrong. I think because I have 2 boxes on there. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, so I entered on the 13th and exit on the 13th was a loss because it hit my profit, the entry price at launch, and then it came back down. There could have been another opportunity to enter again, which I didn't take, and I think some people actually noted that, and then eventually it collapsed anyway. So just took a loss on that one. XOMA, that one, again, similar story. Launched on the 10th. It went on the list on the 10th, and it launched on the 13th. So this day here, broke again. Try to break that high again. Didn't take profits, and eventually had to abort when it hit the exit price at $6. So that was a 3% loss on that one. GALT. Now in hindsight, is there anything unusual about this stock that I might have? Let's see. Let me reload here. Is there anything unusual about this stock that maybe it shouldn't have been on the list to start with? And I would say not really, because on the daily chart it looked healthy. It was doing the right things. It was breaking all the daily moving averages. It was trying to potentially exit this area or challenge this area, and it just didn't work for whatever reason. I think maybe the volume was kind of puny on this side, so shouldn't have maybe put it on the list because there wasn't a significant level of daily volume. But I've been watching the stock for a while, and I think eventually it's going to break out of this area, so you might want to put it on your list. Then it has these areas of resistance to challenge in the near future. GALT, that one was kind of disappointing because I entered and exited on this day, but then it almost hit the profit target on the second day. So I believe this one went on the launch list for the 13th and triggered on 16th, and I think I rode it through the 16th. Let me look here at the 15-minute chart. Yeah, so I did enter on the 16th, but then I had to exit on the 17th when it broke below the red zone area here. I'm not sure why it does that. The chart does that, but entered here, never quite hit the profit zone prior. And after hours, it looks like it did. Should have probably exited there, but didn't. And then waited for the next day. Again, sometimes I should have taken the profit there, but I didn't. It just dipped very quickly down and broke through the abort area, so I had to exit. And then last one was MRNS, and that one is another loss for 5%, and that was the largest loss. That stock is fairly active lately. I think it will continue to be kind of active, and a lot of eyes are watching it. But I basically entered at 169, hoping that it would go to the 186 level. Never did. This is where I entered, and the next day just collapsed and went right through the abort price, so I had to exit. So overall, not a bad week, a very busy week. There was a lot of also intraday trades that I don't cover in this video, but a lot of my intraday scanners, they fire up, and there was several trades that I took on those that I'm not including here. I'll try to focus just on the launch list. And speaking of that, let's talk about the performance. So what I've done this week was to kind of summarize other information. So this one we talked about in the past. This is how the portfolio has been growing since the beginning of the year, starting with a $25,000 account. Total number of trades 153, and every trade it's a 2,500 share size. So the ending balance as of the end of this week is 122K, and that means a portfolio growth of 392%, almost 400%. Now, looking at the true breakdown of the performance, what I try to do is summarize here, kind of a look at the launches for just 2017. So this is beginning January 3rd through last Friday, the 17th of March. So total launches with 153 launches. The ones that we had to abort as losers were 44 launches, which is 28%. Or almost 29% of the total launches. Now, if you look at the winners, the ones that we made profit on, there was 109 total profitable trades, which puts us at 71% profit-taking accuracy. So to break that down further, I wanted to see, okay, which launches were actually above target, meaning that I took profit way above the actual planned target profit price. Because a lot of times if the chart is behaving well and there's no reason for me to exit, I usually ride it. And if you look at the data, so 58 trades out of the 109 were actually successful launches above the target, which represents 38% of the percent of the total. So 58 out of 153 is 37%. As a percentage of successful launches, a little bit over half. So a little bit over half of the ones we made profit on were actually above the target profit price. The ones that were at the target are 8 total trades, and which represents 5% of the total launches and 7.3% of the successful launches. And then lastly was the successful launches that were less than the target. So those were profits that were taken below the actual profit target price just to protect the profit when the chart or the stock was behaving either a little bit to the bearish side, not necessarily showing any strength to potentially push through our profit target, or just was taking too long to reach the profit target, multiple sessions type of thing. So those were about 43 trades, which represents 28% of the total number of of the total number of trades, and about 40% of the successful launches. So from a profit taking on the winners, half of them, I would say, roughly half of them were above the target and 40% were below the target, which was pretty good actually, because I always thought that it seemed like I was exiting usually lower than my profit target, but in reality, actually, I am taking more profit, which is a good thing. Although I'm disappointed, some of the stocks I talked about this, in just a few minutes ago, some of them have actually had potential to go further. Should have capitalized on those, but sometimes it doesn't happen. And the data is showing that in most cases, above 50%, I actually am taking more profit than I planned to, which is a good thing. Now, in terms of trends, I also plotted this new plot for this week's video and breaking down 2016 and 2017. This is starting back in October when I started tracking this information and reporting it, I guess, and looking at both the profit-taking accuracy as well as the average weekly profit. So from a profit-taking accuracy, 2016 on average was a better year. If you look at the average trend line, we are trending down, but through 2017, we dipped kind of, like I said, 3 weeks ago was the lowest point, around 50%. We're creeping back up higher to an area that's 75%, which is still very healthy. In fact, like I said in the past, my target is really somewhere between the 50 to 70%. Maybe I could tolerate somewhere around the 40% level profit taking accuracy, and the reason is most of my profit to loss ratios I choose above 120% to 150% or higher. And if you're looking always at trades that have that high of a profit to risk ratio, your accuracy really needs to be just above 50% to be profitable overall. So I'm not too concerned. I think I'm happy that the last 3 weeks we've been creeping. I mean, this week we crept up a little bit despite dipping to the lowest point 2 weeks ago. So, I'll continue to watch this. I think I'm becoming more and more selective on what I put in the launch list, and I've actually cleaned up the launch list, the ones that haven't launched yet, and I'll share that with you. But overall, I'm not too disappointed. I think 60 to 70% is still a very, very good place to be from a profit-taking accuracy. On the average weekly profit, it's really kind of just a number. I don't think it represents much other than the fact that, it's kind of showing you what the opportunity is in the market. So on a weekly basis, if I had the same amount of capital, let's say I'm throwing in $20,000 on a weekly basis, then I'm getting out roughly about 5% of the 20,000. So right now we're sitting around 5%. We've had the best performance obviously last year right after the elections. I think we had a week where we were almost 30% profit just for that week. But again, what matters is the prior chart is this one. Let me go back a couple ones. This is what matters, is really, are we continuing to grow that count or not? Are we taking huge dips or not? And so far we haven't taken a huge dip, although it's going to happen. Sooner or later it's going to happen. But for now, we're still profitable, and our average weekly profit is still a healthy 5%. Trending down, but still healthy 5%. So that said, let's move on to looking at some of the stocks that are currently in flight. Most of them, all of them, have actually launched on Friday. Some of them have still room to go. Others are very close to their profit target. And in fact, I probably will just exit them on Monday. So first one is PXLW. And that one was on the list to launch at $4.87. And you can see on Friday, let me go back to the chart. Sorry, not showing that. Yeah, there we go. So on Friday, it broke that level, for a good 5 minutes. Then it started going down. So I'm gonna watch it on Monday. It's still healthy. It's above all the daily, intraday moving averages, the 9 exponential moving average and the 20, which are these two lines here. And as long as it's above those levels, I'm okay. Even if it dips at a 50, sometimes I'm okay with that. obviously I'm not going to let it go past the abort price. So if I start seeing it going, breaking the 9 and then the 20 and, you know, trending towards the abort, I'm going to be on high alert and obviously exit if it does hit the abort. If not, I'll keep myself into that trade. The volume has been picking up. Let me go on the daily chart. One day, volume on the daily chart has been fairly strong lately. And, you know, this is a stock we took prior. I think we took profit on this one a couple of weeks ago, and continues to push higher. And it does have a gap to fill. This area here is a gap. So once it breaks this zone, you know, keep an eye on it because it has potential to move, you know, all the way to $5.50 if we have it our way. So right now I have a target of 522. We'll see what it does over the next couple of sessions. Next one is QUIK, QUIK Logic Corporation. So that one launched on Friday. It went on the list on the 13th, I believe, and it broke a little bit here. I think it was short-lived. Never had a chance to even enter it. On Friday, it did enter. I did enter it with, you know, this quick break here over 235, and I'm still holding that one. So it's looks very strong. The volume was pretty strong. I think it will have room to go. Challenge this area again, 249. I have a profit target at 249, which is a 6% profit and 175 profit to risk. So if it, you know, goes back down here, I'm okay with that. We'll see how it behaves. Looks very healthy from moving average perspective and volume, and it's still at a good entry area. INVE is the next one on the stocks that are actually in flight. Look at the volume, beautiful. U-shaped cup and handle, no handle yet, but at least broke out on the daily chart. It went on the list on the 17th because it was challenging this prior resistance, and I put it as the area to break. If it breaks this area, then I'd enter and back to the 15-minute chart. So that's exactly what it did. It challenged the prior high, broke through it, continued to go higher, and it was actually close to the profit area. I mean, I have this one at $7.45. It's at $7.28 right now, so it has another 20 cents potential. Again, if it starts to act up, you know, if it takes a dip and then recovers, I might just exit at $7.28. But we'll see what it does. I think it might be too late to enter now, but let me look at the daily again. So, it has a nice little gap again. So if it continues to go higher and breaks the 745 profit target, it actually has room to grow. You know, it has room to grow all the way to this level here, $8.13. So that's one of the stocks that I would probably watch very carefully, because I may not, if it continues to go up higher, I may not exit, just continue to hold. We'll see. It should be worth keeping it on your radar. And then the last one is, KTOS. All right, doesn't like me. Let me, there you go. Sorry, I have to refresh again. It doesn't let me expand unless I refresh. There we go. So KTOS is the last one that has launched on Friday again, and that one is near its profit target. Not sure why I didn't take profit on that. I should have. Maybe just Monday morning I'll do that first thing. So again, nice gap fill here on the daily. I have a profit target around this area, somewhere halfway between the last resistance, just because it moved a lot. But then you look at what it did on Friday. It triggered at $8.05 and just continued to go and keep going. And after hours, it actually hit the profit target. So we'll see what it does. I think this one goes higher. I'm gonna hold on to it, maybe to if it breaks through this level here, it has some room to go to $8.50. We'll see, but very strong bullish stock. It's in the defense area. Look at the volume on the daily, 3.5 million shares yesterday traded on Friday, so definitely worth watching. It is very extended from the entry point, so just keep it on your radar for a break through this area here, for a potential move into this region here somewhere. I would say maybe not necessarily below the wick, 845. So I would say it definitely has room to go to the 845 level. But again, I can't predict the future. I can react based on what the chart tells me, and it's telling me that it's a healthy chart. And then next, we'll go through some of the stocks that are, I went actually ahead, and cleaned up a lot of the stocks that were on the launch list that never triggered and were from last month, and some of them were actually back from December. I checked the charts. I think they departed way far away from the planned entry point, so no longer need to be watching those. I think these are all still very healthy, and we can take a quick look at the daily charts. Sorry, wrong, jumped too far here. Okay, back to this. All I was trying to do is switch the screens. So if I go to the daily chart on these, we'll go walk through these quickly. CRIS is the first one on the list. This is our window here. You might say it's departed far away from it, but just because of the volume and because of the potential for it to break this area, I'm keeping still an eye on it. I think it will, if it decides to continue to go up, it might break this area and give me a profit window that I'm looking for here. QUR is the next one, and that one looks very nice because it's still holding pretty well here, holding above the averages, consolidating sideways. The next area to challenge will be above this level of resistance here, 625, with a potential all the way to 670 or 668, which was I think why I put that here. Let me just put a line here and go back. We have to go back way back because it's in this gap zone, and I usually just put a 7% target, 6 to 7% target. I mean, it could go all the way to fill this gap at $7.07, but just not to be greedy. And again, like when it enters a gap area, it could go very, very quickly to fill that gap, or it might just churn for a while. So I think it has a potential to break and take a good 6 to 7% winner on that one. It will depend on the volume that's coming in that day when it does break it. So we'll keep it on the watch list. Series holding is the next one. Same type of chart pattern. Although the interesting thing about this one is if it goes into the zone, it has to break the 100-day moving average resistance here, which is perfect because I wouldn't enter it anyway unless it breaks the 100-day moving average, which is a next resistance level, and then this actual resistance level at $9.81, which represents kind of, when I put this on the watch list, that's where the 50-day or the 100-day moving average was. Right now, that's even going further down, but it is forming a nice little handle here out of this cup. So next thing, it should break through it, and I anticipate it to try and challenge this level here. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. It's still far away from the 200 moving day average or 200-day moving average. So, it does give us still a window to trade with a nice profit to risk ratio of 238%, which is pretty good. Next one is CASC. That one we've traded in the past. I can't recall if it was profitable or not. This one might have been one where we exited. I had to abort. But again, it's still trading in this zone. It needs to break the zone. to potentially capture some profit. I would say the volume is a little bit weak, but it does have this potential to maybe challenge the 100-day moving average, or try to course correct and go to the 100-day moving average. Maybe this one, actually, I would say this would be my least favorite. I probably should take it out because it's dropped below. I thought I took it out, but yeah, I would say this is nothing too shabby about it. It fell below all the daily moving averages. Volume is kind of getting weak, so anyway, put this on the back burner. Don't worry about it too much. AFMD, that one looks fine. Above all its daily moving averages, forming a nice little handle here. Try to break through this prior resistance, didn't work out. Again, if it does break through that resistance, an entry would be here appropriate, with a potential profit target at this next resistance level. So that gives you a window of $2.99 through $3.17, which is a 6% potential profit and a 3% potential loss. A nice 164% profit to risk ratio. LPCN, that one is same pattern, broke the 200-day moving average, which is very, very healthy. It pulled back a little bit and then challenged this area again. I guess I'm waiting for it to clear this level of resistance, and then it will have this wide window to play in. Now, I don't think it will go all the way to this level. That's why I probably put, again, this one I think I was more generous. I put a 10% profit target on this one from 471 through 520, which would be this level here. So again, I think I want to see more volume with the conviction. It's good that it broke all these moving averages, and I think it has room to fill this gap. So worth watching for sure. Next one is VBIB. VBIV, and that one is a former winner for us. Well, at least I think it is. Maybe it wasn't, but it broke through this prior profit window, and now it's trending higher. Cleared all the moving averages, dipped a little bit below the 9-day moving average. Again, the area to contest with is this prior resistance here, which goes way back in this area. It have a window of 8% potential profit with 4% potential loss, 662 to 715. So I'll keep my eye on that one. Next one is NAKD. That one had fairly interesting news a few days ago. Was trending after hours, I recall, and looked pretty good because it broke all its moving averages. It was trending up. The plan was that if it broke this level, it has some window to play with through this level. It still didn't come close to it, so it's still healthy, but maybe it will churn for a long time in this area before it actually reaches that profit target. So keep an eye on that one. So VRAY, the launch at 644 with a profit target at 682. It's actually filling this kind of weird gap area. It's a fairly new stock that came on the market last year, middle of last year. Was showing huge volume over the last few sessions, looking promising. It's actually an uptrend. Try to break this level, couldn't. Once, twice, 3 times. So that would be the area that I'm looking for. If it does break through that, it has some potential to go to the 681 level, which would be a nice profit as well. Next is SNGX, and that one. So that one still has the 200-day to challenge, but it's far away. So it is an uptrend. It's curling up, traded sideways. It has this area to break. If it does break through that, we have potential through the 345, which is kind of this area of resistance here. So it needs to just break this area here, which it tried to break once, twice. So let's see if the third time is a charm. Next is BBRG. Again, the pattern is it's an uptrend. Challenge the 200-day and fail to break it, which is fine because I don't plan to enter it unless it clears it, and clears actually this level at 531, 532. If it does break through that, it has room to grow to 575 based on this huge gap here, which again is my typical 6 to 7, in this case 8% potential profit target. We'll have to see what that does, but it looks like promising. Again, it has a nice gap to fill. Next one is ADMP. That one is same story, I guess. Look at the huge gap it has. That is a beautiful, beautiful chart. It has been curling up, very strong buying happening over the last few sessions. It's kind of consolidating sideways. It's still above all of its average moving day averages. Try to break through this area, which is the same area over here, right? The gap area. I mean, charts just tell you beautiful stories. If it does break through that resistance area, then we have a huge gap to fill, and you can pick where you want to take profit, where you want to watch it. I would say this one at least potentially has 7% worth of profit if it breaks it with strong volume. A lot of shorts are going to try and cover. Nobody's ever, the reason why there's a gap here is that it's an uncharted territory. Nobody purchased or sold stock in this price zone. So there are people that held the stock in this area that potentially still might have it. They'll probably want to wait until it gets close to the area before they exit. And those people that shorted the stock will start to get nervous if it breaks above this level here. So that's why gaps are beautiful. Very nice area to potentially cap in a lot of profit. Next one is TOPS. So I'm not really crazy about this one. It's kind of I would say a little bit shabby stock. A lot of pumps and dumps lately. But when it does move, it moves very quickly and moves a lot. And we saw an example of that on the 16th. Look at the volume, probably highest daily volume in a long time. And it did break through multiple resistances, moving averages. It still has the 100-day. It failed to break that one. And very close to it is the 200 moving day, daily moving average. Now, I don't really like to trade the stock because I said, it's kind of a pump and dump usually, but it does present an opportunity if it manages to break the 100-day moving average and this prior resistance level. It has some window to go at 274, and usually when this stock moves, a lot of people jump in, so there's definitely a potential. I think it might have a hard time breaking through the 200-day moving average, but then you never know. So it's a very irrational stock, and it could rip right through it and continue to go higher. Maybe challenge this area here at $3.27. So you choose it. It's kind of a speculative stock, trades on emotions more than anything else. And if it does move, it gives kind of a good profit % return. Last one is CDXC. Very beautiful, I would say, nice chart coming into this area here of gap filling. It has this resistance level to contend with. If it breaks this level, that's why we have it there. Volume is swelling up, and it has cleared most of the daily moving averages. Only the 200-day is coming up for a challenge. Now, if this continues to move sideways, that 200-day is going to continue to drop, which means that this profit window is probably invalid. So if it doesn't trigger on Monday or Tuesday, I would say bets are off for a while. We'll just have to readjust this profit window to see how it behaves. And then the last one on the list is COOL. Very nice, healthy recovery, getting close to challenging this prior resistance area. And if you go back, the last time it was in this price zone was in January of 2016. So, way more than above than 52 weeks highs, and looking good if it does break through that level here of $9.05 with potential profit window to $9.50. I'm liking more and more stocks that are above $5 recently. I think when they move, they have more strength to them. They're less choppy. Obviously, you need more capital or less number of shares to take, but if you have good leverage with your brokerage, usually they're okay to trade as long as you obviously keep your eye and keep a tight stop and make sure you don't violate your abort price. But it seems lately that stocks that are in the $5, $7, $9 area are moving. They could move 50 cents to $1 fairly quickly within one session. And I think institutions are looking at those type of stocks. So if you see one that's actually trending up and looking healthy, might be worth considering for a trade, right? Although the $2 and $1 and $3 stocks are obviously give you a higher percentage return. They offer you the ability to enter with a larger share size, given your smaller, maybe a smaller capital account, but they are more risky for sure, and you don't necessarily. You might lose, end up losing more than you can gain. So I'm kind of liking the slightly above $5 stocks lately. So just keep an eye on those and consider them. Don't fear them. Even if your capital is small, don't fear them. You can still use leverage, or you can still take a smaller share size, but maybe a more guaranteed profit potential. All right, that is all I had to share with you today. Sorry it took too long, but I hope you found the information useful. Again, if you like this video, please give it thumbs up, thumbs down, write comments, send me an email. You can reach me on StockTwits on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And I hope you have a nice profitable week next week. I will try and make a video for my launch list for tomorrow. And again, for those of you who are not familiar with my process, just because I publish a launch list on a given day, it doesn't mean I expect all the stocks on that list to launch in that day. It's really more of things that I'm keeping on my radar for the next few sessions. So it could be a few days, it could be a few weeks. As long as the chart looks healthy, I continue to put it on my list until it tells me, the stock shows me a reason why to just take it out or ignore it. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of the weekend, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much.